I made this coconut as my first clay project at home. Before we get into how it was made, so this is just one of the many things that I've always wanted to make. And I know I'm not the only one who has so many different interests and this unquenchable thirst to learn almost everything. So if you can relate to this curiosity, welcome to the Hobby Wheel, where we try something new every week. Today, it's clay art. For clay art, I wanted to make something for my rings, but also something that was inspired by the Maldives and something easy for my first air dry clay project. That's how a coconut came to mind. I got some air dry clay, sculpting tools, and a kitchen sponge because all the shops were closed on a Friday. I'll leave the supply details in the caption. I thought turning this clay into a bowl shape would be pretty easy, but this is where I made my first mistake. I left the rest of the clay I wasn't using at the time without covering, so it dried up and started cracking like my aunt's dry feet. I tried to smoothen with the sponge, but some cracks were still there. So if you're a professional, do leave some tips in the comments. After shaping, I tried to add texture to it using the tools, then left it to dry for 2 days. And this is after 2 days. As expected, there were a few cracks. I did get upset at first, but here's the thing about art, right? It doesn't have to be perfect. And maybe, just maybe, the cracks would make it look more like a real coconut. So I started coloring instead of starting a new one all over again. And this, I would say, was so much more comfortable than everything else because I was so used to using acrylic paint. And I finished off with this gloss varnish for that shiny look. And this is it. I honestly love how it ended up looking, and I was pleased with it considering it was my first air dry clay project. See you next week for something new again.